Good day. Welcome to a new episode of HKEx Voice, our podcast featuring insights from our senior executives and industry leaders on Hong Kong's financial markets. I'm your host, 𝗙gie👹👹👹. Within the financial community and beyond, there is now broad consensus that having diverse backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives in a company's board facilitates better decision-making and helps drive business innovation and growth. In fact, board diversity has become a key measurement of a company's ESG performance. And as a changemaker, HKEx sees the promotion of diversity in the boardroom as a key priority in enhancing corporate governance. Today, we are very pleased to have with us Katherine Ng, HKEx's Head of Policy and Secretariat Services of the Listing Division, to tell us more about the momentum to create a more inclusive and gender-balanced boardroom, as well as what HKEx sees as its role in fostering board diversity and more broadly, a diverse corporate culture across all levels of companies in Hong Kong. Katherine, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, 𝗙gie👹👹👹.
Let me start off with the first question. In the context of Hong Kong and in our position as a regulator, why has the promotion of gender diversity in company boards become such an important component in measuring ESG?
I think board diversity is a topic that has gained a lot of momentum in the past couple of years. Why do we need board diversity? It's always been for the better of the company. We want company and the leadership to have a different perspective. We want them to think differently. We want them to be able to identify problems. So if you have a diverse board, people with different perspective, the chances of being able to identify issues, find a way to mitigate and risk manage is much greater than a board with, a uniform set of thinkers. So in particular, gender diversity is something that's gained a lot of attraction. People are talking about it internationally and both locally. I think gender diversity has been recognized in the community, not just the investment community, but the wider community as being an important element of board leadership.
So, Katherine, when talking about board diversity, how does it have an effect on creating a more open and inclusive work culture across all levels of a company?
It might be easy if I gave you some concrete examples.
Sure.
There has been spotlight on certain overseas companies with corporate challenges in the last couple of years. If you look at the board composition of these companies, you will often find that they have boards manned with star executives and star independent non-executive directors. But very often they might have a similar background. They might, they would have gone to really good school. They are very well-known in their own professions. But do they really have a diverse board? We are looking at people who view a problem very differently, who react to issues very differently in order to spot potential problems and to mitigate them in their own ways. So this is essentially why it's important to have a diverse board, to be able to manage the company in different situations and to come up with creative solutions on mitigating the risk and managing the risk of the company.
So, Katherine, as a market regulator, what steps has HKEx taken to encourage listed companies to embrace gender diversity?
First of all, I'm very proud to say that we've put an end to single gender board. As of this year, companies coming to list on our market, these IPO applicants are no longer allowed to have single gender boards. And we are now working on our listed issuers as well. We have over 2,500 companies listed on our exchange. And as of end of last year, there are about 800 single gender boards, which is not a small number. So Hong Kong EX is making active steps. We are going to allow these companies, or the community as a whole in Hong Kong has agreed that we give these companies 3 years transition period to change from a single gender board to one with at least usually one female on the board.
Katherine, why does it take such a period of time for certain companies to actually change the status quo? What are the challenges that they face?
I think for us, we want to make sure that the women that they bring to the board add value. We want, it's not ending single gender board for the sake of adding a woman. It's not about tokenism. We want this person to add value to the company. We want this person to add value to the thought leadership of the board And it's very important for the company to identify the right person for the job. So we don't want companies to rush it. We want companies to think carefully about what is lacking currently on their board, what perspective would most likely add value to their board, and go out and identify the right person to be added to the board.
So in addition to ending single-gender boards, what are the other measures that the exchange is taking or has taken to encourage more board diversity?
Thank you. I think we're tackling this issue from different directions. So as well as putting a requirement that issuers should end single-gender board, we've also strengthened the requirement on the nomination committee. I talked about kind of ultimately what we want is a balanced board that offers different perspective, that has different perspective within the board. So the role of the nomination committee is paramount to this process. We want the companies and the directors to take it seriously. So nominating committee has become a mandatory requirement. Every single company must have a nomination committee. They must take it seriously. They must explain why they've proposed a single director for the job. This is one area. Another area we're working on is long-serving independent non-executive directors. Some independent non-executive directors have stayed on the board for a long time. It could be 10 years, 20 years, even 30 years. We know that they're adding value, obviously, but it's also very important for a company and its board to have some fresh perspective, to be given some new thoughts, from time to time. So we've added a rule that says if all your independent non-executive directors have served for more than 9 years, you must add a new independent non-executive directors, so to add new perspectives to the board.
In terms of investor education or investor information, does the HKEx listing division have any resources to help give investors a more informed decision when they make investments on these companies?
Investors have been asking for more information, particularly on diversity and the composition of the board. So I'm pleased to say that this year we launched a new repository, Board Diversity and Inclusion in Focus repository. You can find it on our website. It has a lot of information and data regarding each issuer's board of directors, their age, gender, years of tenure. So if you want to find out more, whether you're an investor or issuer, what your peers are doing, you can go onto our website and log on to our new repository.
That's really interesting. But beyond the board level, Katherine, how would you advise companies to embrace diversity more broadly?
Well, it's about having a diverse culture and diverse mindset at the workplace. Taking HKEx as an example, we've launched 4 initiatives in the past year, including HKEx Women, HKEx Family, HKEx Mosaic, and HKEx Pride. HKEx Women provides a platform for colleagues with the aims of celebrating gender diversity and empowering women to achieve their goals at work.
So, Katherine, as you mentioned, HKEx made an important step to end single-gender boards. But do you think that's enough? Should HKEx as a regulator consider more rules to encourage or to speed up this process?
Ending of the single-gender board was never about a quota for Hong Kong or HKEx or our business community. It is about bringing the companies in Hong Kong on a journey. We wanted companies who haven't started this journey to think about the value of board diversity, to consider the issues of board diversity when they are filling a board vacancy. I think once companies start on this journey, they would appreciate how board diversity and what board diversity has done to their company. Whether it's risk management, internal control, business strategy, or business development, they will start seeing the value of board diversity. And once this happens, and once we've changed the mindset of the directors in Hong Kong as well as senior management, they would embark on the journey every time they fulfill a board vacancy without regulatory requirements.
So, Katherine, finally, diversity is just one part of the whole ESG topic. What are the other relevant initiatives in the ESG space that HKEx as a regulator has been undertaking that's, you think, worth highlighting?
I think ESG has been a long journey here. It's not something that we thought about in the last couple of years. At HKEx, we started the conversation on ESG more than 10 years ago. We put together the ESG guide in 2012. It was voluntary to start off with. Companies could choose whether they wanted to report on ESG issues, but at least we started the awareness on the companies. We wanted companies to understand that, these are the future investor expectations. There are more and more investors asking for it. And we tweaked and increased the requirements as times went on, and as there were more investor demand on ESG information. A couple of years ago, we made ESG reporting mandatory in Hong Kong. So every single company listed on our exchange has had to produce a ESG report. And we don't stop there. We are continuously reviewing our ESG regime to make sure it's fit for purpose. We talk to our issuers, we talk to our investors to see what information is necessary for our investors to make an informed investment decision on a company.
So, Katherine, great to see the progress that we've made as a regulator over the past number of years in the ESG space, in diversity, in climate, and in other ESG areas. I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
It was a great discussion on our efforts as a regulator regarding board diversity and ESG more broadly, and what this means for our listed issuers and the markets. For all our new listeners, if you want to learn more about this podcast or HKEX's markets, please visit us at our website at hkex.com.hk. From all of us here at HKEX Voice, thank you for listening, and keep an ear out for the next episode. So long.